Good morning and welcome. I'm Bob Pace, your host, and I'm here to fight CPS and save your children. How's everyone doing this morning? This is an interactive podcast. I broadcast twice a day, 7 days a week. It is live. It's coming to you from beautiful Southern California. Now, the producer of this podcast is Vincent W. Davis and Associates. It's a law firm in Southern California, and it has many kinds of different lawyers for all kinds of legal matters. CPS, Child Protection Services, is an arm of social services. It's supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse and also do family reunification. I think the latter, they forgot about the family. Seems lately all CPS does is do child trafficking and make money off your children. It's terrible. And those are from my first experiences. Now, it's an interactive show, meaning that you can do it one of several ways. You can text in a comment, and the comment can be about what your case is. And all I ask is a city and state so I get an idea about where you're from. It's kind of important that I kind of get a general consensus of where the problems with CPS. So far, over 100 people I've talked to, it seems like it's the same issue in my case as with all these other 100-some people. It gets worse and worse day after day. I mean, I've been doing this for 14 years. And so, anyway, I'd like to hear from you. I like a comment. You can use your thumbs up, or you can show some love. The emotes are nice. And also, there may be a question I can help you on. I did have a CPS case, a very bad CPS case. My children were stolen. They were trafficking by CPS for the sole purpose of making money off my family. They're based on allegations from lay people, not from professionals. They were using CPS as a pawn to show their interest of trying to take our children away. It's my in-laws, my wife's family. It's sad. It's very, very sad. Another way you can interact on the show is to be a guest on my show. If you want to call in right now at 626-698-0990, that's my work phone number, and I'll answer it and put you on speaker. You won't have your face being broadcast, but you'll have your voice and all about your case, and see how I can maybe help you or whatnot. So that's 698-0990 to call in, and you can be live. I have from time to time a guest slotted for the show time. This morning I have none, and so it's open right now. There's an hour show that you can talk on. Now, if this time you don't want to be a guest or you don't want to talk on the show, you can talk at a later date. You can call 888-888-6582 and schedule a time. But the best way to do it is use my producer. My producer is Grace. She has an email. You can write to Grace at vincentwdavis.com and then pick one of my dates: Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, morning, afternoon. There's 14 shows you could pick. So there is the email, and it's the best way to get a hold of her. She will respond to you and set you up a time. So you can text comments, you can call in to be live, or you can schedule a time with the email. Now, there's 3 rules that I always say about this show that keep reminding you all that CPS is very bad, very complex. You probably know the story of Alice in Wonderland. Well, that's what I felt like when I fell into CPS's hole. It's a web mire of doors and deception and not being transparent and lying and using the police department and then also alienating our children. Alienation is illegal. You're not supposed to alienate people. Trafficking is illegal. They're doing it for the sole purpose to get the case open so they can start collecting money. I'm talking a neighborhood of $20,000 per child per month. That's a lot of money. Now, I want you to think about this statement. If you're going to have open heart surgery, are you going to do it yourself? Or are you going to get a lay person to do it? Or are you going to get an experienced doctor who's trained and knows how to do open heart surgery? Well, that's how CPS is. Dealing with CPS is just like dealing with open heart surgery. It's bad. It's bad. And you need a lawyer. Now, I recommend in the law firm that we have, Vincent W. Davis Associates, to have a consultation with Mr. Davis. He's a dependency lawyer. He's a juvenile lawyer. He's a trial lawyer. He knows how to fight CPS and won cases against them. He has brought back kids home. He brought home my 2 boys. And on top of that, he has sued CPS and won and beaten them. He's not afraid of CPS. Law lawyers don't want to deal with CPS because they don't understand themselves and they're so corrupt. They just don't want to deal with it. And I'm telling you right now, you need to get an attorney. Just like the doctor do open heart massage, you need an attorney. So right now, Mr. Davis is offering a 30-minute consultation for only $49.99. That's $50. I know it's a lot of money, and but he can tell you the strategies, and he could talk to you and make you feel a lot more at ease. He did with me. I just waited too long. I did the mistake of trying to fight it on my own or use a public defender, which is a joke, or somebody that isn't trained in dependency law. It takes a special knack of someone trained and educated and experienced to fight CPS. Because CPS, they don't have professional social workers. They are not certified, they're not licensed, they don't have a college degree, they have no classes in social work, and they're young and immature, and they're supposed to be able to talk about a family reunification. No, no. All my social worker talked about was, look at my new Gucci purse. Well, I got new eyelashes. I got new makeup from the bonuses they give her. They give bonuses to the social workers to keep your children in custody or the case to keep the case open. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare, and it still is. I've been 14 years of dealing with them, and they still are causing hurt and pain to all of you out there. I feel for every one of you. All of you are hurting out there, and I know you are because it sprung upon you and you love your children. You see, people that love their children truly would not be would stay involved. Now, the people that don't love them are not involved; they just disappear from the scene. They don't care. Like a lot of the dads and the single moms, the dads, get the girl pregnant, then leave the girl stranded. It takes both parents to um, to take care of the family. It takes both biological parents. So all you dads out there, try to, help out the lady. I know that your relationship may be bad or maybe going sour or you don't have a relationship, but still think of the child. Still think of the child. So I suggest you call the office at 888-888-6582 and set up a time with Mr. Davis. Tell the office that Bob Pace sent you. And when you speak to Mr. Davis, say that Bob Pace sent you. So it's really important that you get that consultation because it will help you breathe a lot easier and make a game plan of how to do your classes. Well, not to do your classes, I'm sorry, how to get your children back. Um, it's tough. It's tough what you're going through because these allegations, the social worker already thinks you're guilty. See, that's the difference between dependency court and other courts. Other courts, you are not guilty until you're proven guilty. Dependency court, you're guilty till you're proven innocent. It's terrible. They already have bad impression upon you. And if you have a previous CPS case or a criminal case or previously drug or whatever, they're going to use that all against you. They're going to use it all against you. Now, while this is going on, there's a rule number 2 that's important that you should have, and that is to take notes. You need to take notes because you're not going to remember from day to day. And this thing is not going to get over in 48 days, as they say it's supposed to. They say that they have 24 hours to investigate by law, and they have 48 days to settle the case. But I got news for you. My case went 3 years. As one guy I was talking to went 8 years. So that's not necessarily true. So it's very, very, very important that you take good notes. And I would start off with the format of the date and time, as their first entry. And then after that, I'd put the names of the children or the names of the social or the name, whoever was involved in the incident, I'd list all their names. And if you don't know the names, put social work 1, social worker 2, police 1, police 2, whatever the case would be. But you got to jot it down, and then you got to describe the incident. They took away your children. They alleged I was on drugs. They came to my house. Whatever the incident is, you write it down, and then after the incident, you want to do a conclusion. Like, was it settled? Is it pending? And you may have to come back 6 months later and finish that part. And then you want to skip a space and enter your next entry and next entry and so on. So your notebook is full of all this information, and it should be only about CPS. If you're taking notes and listening to me, you can write it down too. You can put down the date and time, and me, and you, and then the instant is learning about how to fight CPS. And then when your case is over, you write down a success. Now, I'm not an attorney, and rule number 1 is that you need to get an attorney. You won't be able to fight this without an attorney. I tried. It did not work. Rule number 2 is that notebook, take good notes. Now, rule number 3, right out of the gate, is that you should not talk to social service or the police. And if you do talk cordially, be nice to them, but it's yes, no answers. Don't add things to your yes answer or your no answer. If they ask you a question, yes, no, that's it. If they keep persisting, you say that I need my attorney first to talk to, and that my attorney will get back to you. That's what you need to do. You need to tell them you have representation. It's your constitutional right to have representation through all legal matters. And you have the right to get your attorney. Now, if you're arrested because you're in the process of shooting somebody or doing drugs at the moment or you're intoxicated or like that, then that's a little different because then they're going to have a criminal charge against you. Dependency according to CPS is not criminal. It can be if it's severe, but those are criminal charges brought on by the district attorney. Now, what CPS will do is that they'll investigate you and find out whether the allegations are true or not, and they'll ask family and friends. They ask everybody. You can ask your children at school. They're notorious about that. But you need to get that attorney right away. You need to get that attorney right away. Um, I'm sorry you have to go through this, but you need to get that attorney because that attorney will tell you what you can do and not do. That's the whole thing about it. So, with that being said, I want you not to let them in your house as your own castle, including the police. And if they say they have a right to do so, you have to ask them where the warrant is because they need a court order. Again, it's your constitutional right. They need a court order in your home. Need a court order to take your children, to search your home, and so forth. Now, there's imminent danger. They always use this word imminent danger, and their definition of danger may be different than yours. But mine is that if there's a severe case of child abuse going on, let's say a father doesn't like the child screaming and he's beating the child against the wall. Well, they're going to have to enter the house because that's imminent danger because constant beating of a small developed child, they'll end up dying on them. Or if there's a shooting taking place, someone's going to get killed. That's imminent danger. They will invade. But in my case, having personal belongings and charged with neglect because my family belongings were too much for the house, and only because the fact is my parents were dying and I was trying to go through them and I'd lost my job. I had a perfect storm. I had a lot of things working against me. But they thought it was imminent danger that they needed to have the kids put into a shelter right away. Well, that shelter was imminent danger. The shelter was a block building near the dependency courts, right next door to the juvenile prison with juveniles that could harm the children. If the children came out to play in the play yard, they'd be attacked by bees because they had a bee's nest. The place was dirty, overcrowded, food was terrible, and their idea of a school was a joke. Their idea of a school was a joke. They weren't protecting my children, they weren't even nurturing my children, they were not making them safe. So they did child trafficking. They got your case open and they suddenly got your children because they thought they're in imminent danger that the boxes may fly upstairs and attack the kids, or the furniture may walk upstairs and attack the kids. There was no imminent danger. They could have just said, hey, look, we're here to help you. We see you got a problem. Let's do this. Let's do that. We'll help you pay the storage fees to get your parents' belongings in there so you can sort them slowly at one at a time. Anyway, we would help you out with counseling. We'd help you out with food. We help you out with medical, whatever it is. There's nothing of that offer. The social service was a joke. Their game plan was how to get your kids and keep them in their custody so they get that amount of money. And then they bullied the kids, they alienated the kids, and they certainly did not help them. So I'm telling you, the answer is no. No, not in my house. No, you're not taking my children. Now, if they have a court order, it's got to be fully executed by the judge. And somebody the other day was telling me, well, there's a judge that has a whole drawer full of uh, uh, orders or the social worker that's already pre-signed. Well, you got to look at the date and the time and the wet signature. If there's not a wet signature, there's not today's date and the time for today, then that may be a bogus. Also, if it's not signed, it's bogus. A lot of times they'll sit there and try to do it on the weekend. Well, the judges don't work on the weekend. They work weekdays only, so they wouldn't be signed. So it's got to be signed. It's got to list your name, the child's name, what the allegations are, what they're trying to investigate, and where they're trying to investigate. All that's got to be on there. If it's not a legitimate thing. You can also call your attorney. Let your attorney handle this. That's what the purpose of attorney. If you don't have one, you can fake it and pretend you have one and say my attorney will get back to you. But it's yes, no answers, and you don't want it. So that's rule number 3. So those are only 3 rules I give you here that will help you with your CPS matter. Those are the only 3. Again, I strongly encourage any of you to text me a comment to participate in this podcast or to call in and be a guest on my show this morning. It's 626-698-0990. And to get the attorney that I was talking about on the consultation is 888-888-6582. So those are only 2 numbers. And then to be on my show, if you don't want to this time, you can email Grace, my producer, at grace at VincentWDavis.com, and she'll get the email and then work with you getting on the show when you're scheduled. So I've talked about the 3 rules. I've talked about uh, you know um, what to say when a social worker shows up. You have to understand these allegations are made by 2 kinds of people: professional people that work with children, your school teachers, your firemen, your police, whatever, are required by law to report any suspect of negligence or abuse. So if the child shows up to school and they got a black eye, the teacher's going to report it. If they got burnt fingers, the teacher's going to report it. They're required to by law. And then they'll have to explain, the parent will have to explain why the black eye or the burnt fingers or whatever the case may be. It's horrible out there. I know abuse goes on. I know negligence. I know there was a mother the other day that decided to take a vacation, left her child, 10 months old, in one of those jumpy seats. You have little toys in front, and you sit and straddle it for 12 days. Came back, the child was dead. Why? Well, first of all, the child's only 10 months and can't climb out of it. Second of all, the child had no water, had no food, and sat in its fecal material and had E. coli in the bloodstream. It was terrible. There was maggots in the diapers. That's how bad it was. That's how gross it was. Yes, there's child abuse. But what's happened is the pendulum has swung where every child abuse case is extreme and imminent danger, and they want to do child trafficking and take the children in, which is wrong, which is not how you solve a problem, not how you work it. All your parents may have hiccups, but you're entitled to a to get it fixed, to family reunification. Okay, we got our first text message here. Jessica Lynn Living Good. We know about Florida's law child dependency case. Well, if you could share what you know about it, I'd love to hear about it. I've had several people from Florida call me. We have another person here, G. Litterton Rhodes. It says here, DCS didn't report my grandson being so in foster care. They swept it underneath the rug. Well, first of all, DCS doesn't recognize grandparents. I don't know what their problem is, but they only recognize their biological father. One lady that told me that her husband had just got out of federal prison. He was a molester. He had sexual charges on him and stuff. And they gave it to him over her. And they were having domestic violence. And it was wrong. It was totally wrong. So I'm glad to have you, G and Jessica. That's really, really nice. And so I know it's hard. And so Jessica or G, I don't know where you're from, G. Jessica, I think she's from Florida because she mentioned about Florida law. I'd love to hear about your dependency case, Jessica. And G, I'd love to hear about your case with DCS doing your grandson. So you must be the grandfather or grandmother of your child, I guess. And they're in foster care. That's the worst place of foster care. I never hear anything good about foster care. All I know is that it's parents that want children real bad, and it's easy if you join CPS and become a foster care parent to go through adoption, where the normal way takes you forever. It's more thorough, checking the kind of individual you are. Now, some other things you got to think about is that after the allegation made, they're doing the investigation. And if they've taken your children, there's called a safety plan. They're going to determine where it's best to put the child in. Now, with that being said, there's a thing called the Native American ICWA. Now, what I'm talking about there, the Native American Indian ICWA, is the Indian Child Welfare Act of 1979. It was passed to protect Indian children who are being abused by CPS. CPS had so many cases of children open up that they're being abused. And so what I'm saying is that they passed this act. And what it says basically, if it's a Native American child that their parents are registered or could be registered or they have Indian blood in them, it has to be Indian blood in them, then they could be taken over by the tribe. The tribe families would take care of the child. So that's a good thing because the tribe isn't into it for money. And the tribe will take care of the Indian child. But this is only for Indian children. That's one thing that's safety meeting. They're supposed to, CPS supposed to contact all the tribes that you think your child could be registered in or is registered. And they're supposed to do that. I was the Lakota Sioux. They didn't do it. My constitutional rights were violated again. They did not. They just kind of dropped the ball. They say, "Oh, you don't look Indian." It's not what you look; it's your bloodstream. I'm sorry that my great grandfather was a full blooded Viking. He had blonde hair and a big um, mustache or this. But my great grandmother was a Lakota Sioux, and I have a picture, and she looks more Indian than a lot of the Indians out there. So I even went to on my trip from the East Coast to the West Coast. I stopped in and spent some time at the Rosebud Reservation in South Dakota to try to learn my ancestry and also try to help out people there. It's sad. That is one of the most lowest income place on the United States is at the Rosebud Reservation. People live terrible, and it's really sad there. Okay, I have some more text messages that Jessica wrote. She put, "State of Florida took my children 353 days. Currently, no contact, no visitation at all. At the judge stripped my rates, my daily shelter, and I have trial on the 12th." That's a whole year, Jessica. You're telling me you had no visitations or anything? That's wrong, Jessica. That is really, really wrong. What are the allegations? Well, they're removed. Yeah, I imagine your attorney is not a professional attorney. I imagine he's a public defender that the court gave you. And they're lousy. They won't help you worth beans. I'm so sorry that your children were like that. That is terrible. Now, there's something that says that um, the main reporter, my mother, um, who was my abuse as a child. So your own mother abused you as a child, and then she reported you being abuser of your children. Is that what I'm hearing there, Jessica? Oh wow, that's terrible. Hi, Arabella. I'm right here. Sometimes I lean back and I lean back too far, but anyway, I'm right here. Ariel, what city and state are you from, by the way? Um, Jessica now says, let me see, the stigma of the system. I was successfully owned my own business, brought my home at 22. Oh, geez, this is terrible. Oh, Jessica, this is terrible. So your allegations were um, drug use and domestic violence were your two allegations. Yeah, once you have a private attorney, you do much better. I'm so glad you're talking about a private attorney. So that is really, really good. I'm trying to keep up with you, Jessica. Okay. When you say yourself, what do you mean by know myself? I must have misread something. Well, if you have a private attorney, you'll be able to fight the case. And if you need more time, you can ask the court for a continuance. You can ask the court for a continuance if you just hired a new attorney. But you need an attorney that knows how to fight CPS, knows cobwebs, the spider webs, because you find out that they're very deceiving, they lie, they cheat, they're not transparent, and all they want to do is make money off your case. So, um, if you've done any programs, you've done any parenting classes or anger management with your domestic violence, and I don't know if your domestic violence is over or not, but that needs to be settled before they can give back your children. And I don't know who was accused of domestic violence or things like that. Jessica, if you want to talk on the show, you're perfectly welcome to call in. You're perfectly um, you're perfectly welcome to call in. All you do is call in at 626-698-0990, and you can call in, and maybe it'll go easier. If you don't want to, that's okay. Just keep asking the questions. I'll try my best to help you, okay? I'll try my best to help you. Your 26-year-old sister, Sherry, 2/21/23, kids taken March of 23, no service for them to this date either. So your sister has kids that have been taken from her too. She has a CPS case. Your sister, is that what I'm understanding? So this is two CPS cases in Florida. What part of Florida is this? What city is this Florida in? You need to get services. There should have been a safety meeting to decide where the kids are kept. Then you need to have a plan drawn up, what parenting classes you need to take, and so forth. And you need to know where your kids are. Do not give up the custody of your kids. Do not give up your medical rights or your school rights to your kids. They'll try to do that. Citrus County, okay. I don't know if that's south of Miami or north of Miami. I'm trying to figure out where Citrus County is, but doesn't sound like a good place to be there if you have a CPS case. Probably something bad. So you have two CPS cases, you and your sister. I know they'll strip you of everything. I had lost my home because of CPS. A home that I worked 40 years for, they get. And that was a sad affair. That was definitely a sad affair. Central Florida. Okay, that's better, Jessica. So, what is your sister accused of? What was your sister accused of? Okay, well, we're waiting for Jessica to write some more. I wanted to tell you about the dependency court that you're going to go into. That's where they make a determination of your plan for your children and what to do about getting your children back. When you're at the court, it's supposed to be your opportunity to have your attorney defend you and show that there isn't evidence to take your children from you. But the social workers are going to try to do that. They're going to use their um, lawyers that they have, and they do everything about lying. The court I found was very troublesome. First, I was never allowed in the court when my case was being talked about. I may be allowed maybe 1.5 minutes where it says, okay, we reach a conclusion. You understand this plan is for this many days, blah, blah, blah. I didn't get a chance to argue my point or present evidence or anything else. It was a complete joke. And the judge doing the dependency court, his background was collision damage with cars and automobile property and those kinds of things. He had no idea what family unification was or what what children are, how to protect them. Oh, your sister died of comp. Oh, I'm so sorry. So your sister, oh right, your sister died. Kids were taken. Now, do you have theirs? Do you have your sister's kids? Where are your sister kids? Or with the biological father? Are they with the biological father? It's funny how life goes on. People die, and CPS is still who are still cool. It's so sad about life. That COVID thing was a terrible, terrible thing that happened to us all. Okay, so back to dependency court. You're going to show up there, and with me, they didn't let me in or my wife. It was terrible. We had to sit in the hallways. It was overcrowded. And then when I did finally come in there was the judge, the bailiff, the clerk, there was the social workers. There was like two of them, two social work attorneys, attorneys for each of the children. So that's three other attorneys. Then my public defender and my wife's public defender. And anyway, it was the fall, and they're all friends and pals. The whole dependency court was a joke. It was a joke, the kangaroo court, and it certainly was not, what I thought it should be or what it could be. Um, your abusive mother has your sister's kids in Kentucky. Well, first of all, careful about signing anything. You should not sign anything until your attorney has read the case plan. And they're going to use you as hostage. They're going to force you to sign something. It's terrible how they do that. You can't get your kids back unless you sign her plan. That is wrong. So I don't understand how your mother, who's abusive, has your sister's kids. That's a horrible story, Jessica. Oh, one of the child. Okay, not all of them. Okay, one of the child. But how could she get the kids if she's abusive? He tried to force me. Who's he? The judge? I'm having a little bit of time here, Jessica. He tried to force me. My attorney in the state. Okay. Now, was your attorney a public defender or professional attorney? I can't believe your attorney wants you to sign a thing about the plan if it's wrong. That's you shouldn't have to sign it. Do you want to try the talk, Jessica? Maybe I can help you because uh, we have about see for 20 minutes left of the show. We have 20 minutes left of the show. Well, if all the attorneys are appointed public defenders, it's a waste of time. You're not going to get anywhere because they're not going to work together. They're not working for the best interests of the child. That's terrible, Jessica. I really love you to be able to talk to me on the phone because I think I can help you out a lot more better than I'm trying to guess because a lot of the information is missing that I need to know to give you a responsible answer. Yeah, that is hard. It's hard to talk on the phone or be a guest in the show about it, but I do want to help you. And so you keep asking me the questions, I'll do my best to you. Now, it's a form called a 388. It's a motion to enter into court if you want to have a hearing with a judge to introduce new things, new evidence. You complete your class, your parenting classes, you complete a program, or you want to change the venue of the courtroom or so forth. It's called a 388. It's a motion. And it's a mechanism that wakes up the judge and tells him you want a hearing within 30 days to talk to him. So you sound like you have a court case coming up. I don't know what's happening with your sister's kids. I know you said your mom has one of them. And do you still have a spouse or a partner, a biological dad involved, or all the men in your life for all these kids are not around? And in fact, the kids have the same dad, or I think with your sister, probably a different dad. Um, it's okay. Just talking to me, Jessica. I hope it helps a little bit. But you get that motion I told you, everybody out listening, if you want to have a hearing with the judge or open your case, you can file that motion. What it does, it submits new evidence and it can do a lot for you. It's your tool to use when you're fighting CPS. Welcome, Medina. Glad to see you again. You asking a question about Jessica. What has your attorney said about your trial? Okay. One of the people write in, Medina has a question for you, Jessica. Medina has asked, what has your attorney done about your trial? Jessica says, 10 fathers signed away rights. What is that about? So, fathers signed away rights on his in Florida. Okay. Okay, here's an answer from Jessica. There's going to beat me, and I just need to sign the case plan. Period. I'll lose. That is, no one should ever be held in hostage. That is wrong. That's a red flag right there. When someone holds you in hostage, you know something's wrong. You need to talk to a professional attorney. Call Vincent Davis today, and schedule a time with him. Tell him it's urgent. He'll do a consultation for 30 minutes for $49.99. It's $50. And he'll help you what you should do and not do. You should never be held in hostage to sign a plan. That's wrong. That is wrong. The Florida CPS is very corrupt. It's a hostage posture. It's like they always use that, threaten to take your children or you're not going to see your children. They've always done that. They use it as a threatening point. And it's wrong. That's not how you work with people. You don't hold them hostage. Okay. Karen Cook says, is there a follow up in any state um, after a child is adopted to make sure the adoption is still going? No, I never heard of one, Karen, but that's certainly a good question. Where are you from, Karen? I've never heard of a follow up on adoptions. When kids are put in adoptions, is it? They're done with. I don't know if there's a follow up anyway. Um, Even with my daughter that was told to go into adoption, I don't ever hear a follow up. That's wrong. That's totally wrong. And then Jessica said, "There's so much more." I believe there's so much more, Jessica. I know there's a lot more than what you've been saying, and it's hard doing the texting, but I do my best. Okay, not to worry, but you need professional help. You're trying to do it yourself, and I'm not an attorney, and I'm not there with you, and I'm trying to talk to you, but it is hard there, Jessica. Karen, what city and state are you from? And thank you for you asking a good question, Karen. I'll have to investigate that further. Illinois, okay. I think you may have been on before, Karen. Um, that's a good question. If there's a follow up with foster care, there's CPS doesn't even have a board of directors or anybody following up on CPS. No one is accountable in CPS. The money isn't. They're not transparent. No one is supervising them. They're just freewheeling. So the answer is terrible, terrible. Okay, I have 13 minutes to go here. Again, if someone would like to call in, all you have to do is call in 626-698-0990, and you'll be able to talk on the show and maybe help out the other people on the show. And, maybe there's things that you've done that have worked out good for you or what I've done or whatever it is. So I feel bad that you're all going through this. You're an advocate in Illinois and know of two affected families that have adoption history. Wow. Thank you, Karen, for looking after CPS families. That's so nice. That's so nice. You're a good person. It's really hard out there. The adopted mother, you see, I put that on there. This is Karen from Illinois. She says the adopted mother gave two children back to the biological parents through guardianship and have never taken and even told the judge they were actually the biological family. Oh wow. So the adopted mother gave two children back to the biological parents through guardianship and never even told the judge that they were actually the biological family. Wow. That's something else, Karen. That's something else. So I know you guys are very frustrated going through this and be able to resolve it. And one of the things most people have in common, they need to get an attorney. And they need to get an attorney that will fight for them, that knows CPS. That's the only way you can do this.
I know, but it's scary to think about what could happen. I don't think about trying to think about it.
Okay. Okay, so Karen is saying we are partnered for an advocate law, Illinois, in our states. Advocates would be knowledgeable regarding the statutes and assist with the cases. That's an interesting concept. But I think we need to get CPS corrected. We need to get them off the track of thinking this is $1 billion business to make money off our children. We need people that are licensed, that are certified, that have background in social work and know about family reunification. There are decency out there, because there's so many people taking advantage of our children and our single moms or single dads or two parents struggling to raise their children. So I feel really, really kind of hard out there because you guys are going through so much anguish. There's things I like to see done, but it's going to have to be done by congressmen. It has to be done at the Congress, the House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives have to motion these passes, and it has to be signed into law by the president. That's what the ICWA of 1979 Act was. It was done by protecting the Indian children. So we need to do other, protective measures. I agree with you, Karen, on that. Is there any other questions? We have about 8 minutes left here of my podcast. Now, just to go over what I've covered is I gave you the 3 rules: get an attorney, take notes, and say no to social workers and police. Do not let them in your home. And I told you about the 388 motion to enter into court to open up your case, and so forth. Now, 300B, the Health and Welfare Code, is good to read. It's 300B, and it talks about what's right for the family and children. It should be stressed that we need to do family reunification. We need the CPS to acknowledge that. Right now, they've kind of left it in a limbo there. They left us in a limbo. Now, Karen, you see what advocate? Have you been in the CPS system yourself? Has something happened to you, Karen, that got you involved? What is your background with all this? And Medina, I haven't heard from you. Jessica Lang, I haven't heard from you in a while. And Karen Cook is the one that we're talking to now. We did talk to General Leland Rhodes, but I haven't heard from her. We also talked to Arabella. Okay. So that being said, We got about 5 minutes. I want to wrap up this show. I feel like we're kind of come to a closure here. Karen really said some important things. Um, I'm glad you're speaking out, Karen. I'm glad you're speaking out, and that's good for you. And we all need advocates out there. I just want to help people not make the same mistakes I did, and to be cautious and wary of making deals with what I call CPS as the devil. If you make deals with CPS, you're making deals with the devil, and that you got to be careful about that. They do child trafficking. They take your child needlessly. There's no imminent danger. This thing where they use the time, oh, it's imminent danger, it's imminent danger, it's so exaggerated. CPS has taken children for the sole purpose of getting money for them, getting money for our children that haven't grown up yet, that are young, that are so precocious. And it's so sad. It's so sad. Yep, contracted kidnappers. You're right there, Jessica. You're right. Now, Karen said something that she said, I now work with Connie Regal Family Forward Projects. We have a page in every state right, and I have 22 chat rooms on 22 different states for parents and grandparents. Oh, that's beautiful, Karen. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. That is so nice, Karen. Well, I know it's going to be a long road. You will eventually get your children back. I did, but I only got two of the three. Our precious girl was tricked into doing foster care. At 12, she divorced her parents, her brother, her brothers, her grandparents, her cousins, everybody. She divorced the family. And then she sealed up her birth certificate so no one can see that she was even born. And she changed her name. Now, that was something that we know that our daughter didn't think on her own. That was something that was coached by CPS and maybe my in-laws, or her parents, my mom's side. And that is sad. That is so sad. That's so sad, because when that happened to me, it just, my heart sunk. We got our two boys back, and that's good, but they've suffered so much because of that. They've suffered a lot because they go through really rounds of depression and so forth. So it's not perfect, but you will get your kids back. Just keep on fighting what you want to do. Whatever you do, do not sign anything without talking to an attorney first, and don't be coerced. If they want you to say, if they give you a threatened posture that either sign this or you not get your kids back, then you know there's a red flag. That's something that isn't right. No one should be forced into signing anything. And that's your constitutional right, by the way. You have constitutional rights, and you need to protect your constitutional rights. You need to think about that. So I want to thank all my listeners out there. And as I say, I have another podcast tonight, and I keep going day after day. And I may talk about the same things, but I try to give something different that can help other people relate my case to your case, or trying to give you advice about forms or the rules I gave you and so forth. Um, I want to see you successful. I want to see your kids home with you, because there's been studies showing that the biological parents are the best parents in the world for their kids. Biological parents are the best place for the kids. Be with them, because you do love them, and it sounds like you'd do anything to protect them or take care of them. So, again, thank you for listening. Good luck with the new year. Much success and wishes. Thank you, Jessica Lang. Thank you, Karen Cook. Let me see who else we had here. Thank you, Medina. It's good to see you again. And then I want to thank, we had a guy named Arabella. Thank you for your comments. And then G. Letterman Rhodes. We had a lot of comments today, and I want to thank you all. I want to thank you for all the thumbs up, all the smiles. Come, we need some smiles there. I know there's sad faces. I'm sorry about the sad faces. And so I'll see you tonight. God bless you all. And this is Bob Pace signing off.